What would you do if you returned home after 10 long years, only to find complete strangers living on your family's land? In the rugged American West of the 1890s, one feared gunman rides back to the ranch he never stopped calling home. But what he discovers will challenge everything he believed about loyalty, family, and redemption. Stay with us until the very end, because this emotional Old West story has a powerful twist you won't see coming. Now grab your saddle, settle in, and let's get started. The cold wind rolled across the Montana plains as a lone rider emerged from the morning mist. It was the autumn of 1893, and the man sitting tall in the saddle had not seen this valley in 10 long years. His name was Cole Harrow, though most folks across the Western Territories remembered him by another name: the Black Ridge Gunman. Stories about his lightning-fast draw had traveled from Wyoming to Texas, but few people knew the truth behind his disappearance. Some claimed he had been killed during a bloody range war. Others believed he had fled to Mexico with stolen gold. Cole had never bothered correcting the rumors. Sometimes a dead legend was safer than a living man. The horse beneath him moved slowly as familiar landmarks appeared one after another. There was the old creek where he had learned to fish with his father. The weathered cottonwood tree still leaned over the water, though it looked older now. Beyond it stretched rolling fields covered in golden grass, leading to the ranch that had belonged to the Harrow family for generations. Cole's heart pounded harder with every step. He had spent a decade wandering from town to town, working as a trail hand, bounty hunter, and sometimes a hired gun whenever survival demanded it. Every dollar he earned had one purpose: to someday return home, buy back what had been lost, and live the peaceful life his father had always wanted for him. As he reached the top of a small hill overlooking the ranch, he suddenly pulled the reins. Everything had changed. Fresh fences surrounded the property. The old barn had been repaired with new timber. Smoke curled from the chimney of the farmhouse, and several horses grazed peacefully in the pasture. Children's laughter drifted across the fields, carried by the wind. Cole narrowed his eyes. A little boy chased a dog across the yard, while a young girl carried a bucket of water toward the porch. Moments later, a tall, broad-shouldered man stepped outside with an axe resting on his shoulder. Behind him came a woman hanging freshly washed clothes on a line. None of them belonged there. Cole's face hardened. His father's ranch, every acre of it, was occupied by complete strangers. For several silent minutes, he remained on the hill, watching the family go about their day as though they had lived there forever. Questions raced through his mind. Had the ranch been stolen? Had someone forged papers after his father died? Or had these people simply taken advantage of an abandoned home? He hadn't ridden across half the country looking for another gunfight. Not yet. Taking a slow breath, he nudged his horse forward and began riding down the hill toward the ranch gate, unaware that the answers waiting there would change everything he believed about the past. Cole stopped his horse at the front gate, his eyes fixed on the man standing on the porch. The stranger noticed the rider and quietly picked up a rifle, though he kept the barrel pointed toward the ground. For a long moment, neither man spoke. Only the sound of the wind moving through the cottonwoods filled the silence. Finally, Cole removed his hat. "My name is Cole Harrow," he said. "This ranch belonged to my father." The man's expression changed instantly. He looked at Cole with surprise rather than fear. "You'd better come inside," he replied calmly. "There's something you deserve to know." Around the kitchen table, the woman poured fresh coffee while the children watched the unexpected visitor with curious eyes. The stranger introduced himself as Samuel Carter. He explained that 10 years earlier, after the town believed Cole had died during a gunfight, his father had struggled to keep the ranch alive. A terrible drought had destroyed the crops, cattle prices had collapsed, and unpaid debts had piled higher each season. With no family left to help him, the old man had made the hardest decision of his life. He legally sold the ranch to Samuel for enough money to pay every debt and spend his final years without losing his dignity. Before passing away, he had left Samuel with one final request. "If my boy ever comes home," the old man had said, "tell him I never stopped believing he'd find his way back." The words struck Cole harder than any bullet ever could. Samuel quietly opened a small wooden box and placed it on the table. Inside rested Cole's father's silver pocket watch, an old family Bible, several faded photographs, and a handwritten letter addressed simply, "To my son." With trembling hands, Cole unfolded the letter. His father's final message spoke not of land or money, but of forgiveness, hope, and the wish that his son would leave behind the violence that had stolen so many years of his life. Tears filled Cole's eyes as he stepped outside into the cool evening air. Looking across the fields, he realized the ranch had not been stolen. It had been saved. The next morning, before the sun climbed above the mountains, Cole shook Samuel's hand, thanked the family for honoring his father's memory, and rode west once again. For the first time in many years, he wasn't running from his past. He was finally riding toward his future.